Hey friends, welcome to Wednesday Sessions. Coming to you from a familiar spot tonight, our prayer point. I'm out here with our church directory. Gives me some sense of you being with me. I can see your faces, although I will say in the last 3 or 4 years since we've had those photos, we've changed a fair bit, but in important ways we stay the same. I'll attempt to give you a quick glimpse from the prayer point and not make you dizzy. Let's see if I can return and do this. It's a nice day at the church. Of course, I'd rather you be here with me if I had my way. We're missing plenty of things. We had our shrimp boil, or at least planned to have our shrimp boil this past Sunday. And that's become something we've really appreciated enjoying together, and we'll have to put that off and look to the future, as we have had to with a lot of activities. We have missed being together physically, right? Sharing handshakes and hugs, laughter and joys, opportunity to share joys and concerns. But having said that, we're doing really well staying connected in these times. I continue to hear from so many of you how you're being blessed by one another, making phone calls or sending texts, connecting with your small groups and classes online or through conference calls. And we're glad to hear that, and really want you to know if there's a way, if you're feeling disconnected, we really want to help resolve that. So don't hesitate to contact one of us, the ministers, and let us see how we can help you find a way to a deeper sense of connection. These days have, although there are many losses in them, there are things that we've gained as well, and I do hope that you're encountering the blessings, enjoying the beautiful weather. I had the opportunity this past weekend to practice some social distancing with fish on the river. They did their part mostly by staying their distance from me. There were half a dozen exceptions, but regardless, it was just a delight to be on the Cahaba and float the river and enjoy the beauty of the outdoors. And I hope in whatever way you're able, you're encountering some blessing as well. Gary will be up in a few minutes with an interview or two. But allow me to do a quick update of our hospital list. Our members who remain in the hospital are Esther Evans and Jim Garland, and of course we want to have them close to our thoughts in this time particularly. It's a difficult time to be hospitalized. We've had some friends lose family members, and we want to remember their families as well. Dolores Donegan and her family, in the loss of Dolores's brother-in-law, Alvin Reed. And also Marjorie Ray and her family, let's remember them as Marjorie lost her brother, Ben Ray. There are many things with us not being together that we might not be having the opportunity to share broadly with one another. So we know there's plenty of other concerns and joys, celebrations that are on our hearts and minds, and those are all a matter of prayer for us as a congregation that's somewhat scattered at the moment. We pray from here to there and across the rooms that God would be active in these spaces, that God would provide sustenance and bring comfort to those in need. We can take an expression of our hope in part from the words of Psalm 33, and I'll close with that. Hear this. We wait in hope for the Lord. The Lord is our help and our shield. In him our hearts rejoice, for we trust in God's holy name. May your unfailing love be with us, Lord, even as we put our hope in you. Amen. Have a good evening.
We'll begin now. Okay, I have I have Dana Basinger here, and Dana is one of our newer members, and she and Jim joined within the last year, although they visited for a while before that. Dana, just as a start here, I'd like you to tell our church a little about the two of you, just a little short introduction. You have 3 daughters.
Okay, well,
so tell us.
3 daughters. Yep, they're grown and gone. 3 daughters grown and gone. We have a nurse and a couple of communication people, a PR expert and a professor of communications. Jim is a graphic designer, and I teach sort of communications-based courses. So I guess that's kind of all in the family except for the nurse. And there was a grandfather and grandmother who were health professionals. So everything's in the family. I am assistant dean in the College of Arts and Sciences at Sanford. So I'm just right down the road, a university that Gary knows well because which is where I first met Gary Furr, was at various Sanford activities, and probably put a lot of students in your classes when you were teaching. So there it is.
You did. And I actually enjoyed teaching down on the campus, and I understand what it is that you really love about that because of the joy of teaching kids. And so how long have you been doing this at Sanford in some different capacities?
Right. So I've been at Sanford since 1997. I started part-time there. I was full-time starting in 2000. So 20 years. So so I'm sort of the old person in the room now. Whenever I'm in a group of people, I'm like the old seasoned, like when is she leaving person.
Yeah.
So a long time.
She knew the 3 generations of leaders here. Well, I think there's a lot good about that too, because it obviously allows you to have institutional memory, and when new people come in, they need to know kind of, how are things done here, and not always, but you need enough of that to survive. And you've had a wonderful career there. And I think I've loved what I've heard people tell me, not just what you have, about what you love so much about your job.
Are you asking me what do I love about my job, Gary?
Yeah, where you find your joy in that work.
Well, as I always say, every year at orientation and whenever I get a chance to talk to students and parents, I handle student and parent meltdowns. And so that is a kind of a joy for me. I go through boxes of Kleenex like water. And while I'm not a counselor, I function that way sometimes. I like to help people problem solve. I don't like to solve the problems for them. I like to empower them to solve the problems themselves. So whether that's my students, I teach a little bit, but primarily I negotiate things with students. So that really is where I get my joy, is seeing students rise to the occasion. That's what they're at college to do. If they're at college to learn some stuff about whatever their given major topic is, but they're really, as you all know, there to form into fully functioning humans. And so it really is fun to see them do that. Yeah. As you know what I'm talking about.
And it's a perilous and risk-filled time too, because there are many things that can go awry for kids. So
that's right. That's right.
So I'm really curious about, everybody has had to rethink the way they do this. In this time, we've had to rethink church, and people rethink their businesses. But what in the world has it been like in 3 months to completely try to reinvent what you're trying to do at the end of a graduating year, at the end of a year for kids? What's that been like?
Well, let me not go negative. Let's focus on the positives. How about that?
Yeah.
The negatives are obvious. It's hard for students to learn at home, and it was hard for us just to make the shift.
Right.
I really believe in online teaching. I think that some really good learning can happen in the online venue, because students have to get fully engaged with the material. So I think the positives are, number one, like everybody else in every other business, we've all learned a whole new set of skills, and that has been a sort of a glorious thing. Unexpected, but it was a great thing to do, to learn all of these new things that we didn't think that we knew how to do, like Zoom calls and things like that. I think for the students, At Sanford, our students and students at any university are sort of used to having their list delivered to them by going to class. We could tell you this is a universal national statistics. Students who go to class will be successful in college for the most part.
Yes.
Because going to class helps them keep on task. It helps them to know, okay, well, I got to do this by Wednesday. I got to do this by Friday. This is, here's my list. They haven't had that. They've had to, because our faculty have used a million different methods of delivering the material. So we didn't have time to make it a common experience for students. Everybody did something. Some people used email. Some people used our course management system. So I think one of the real great outcomes is the students have had to learn to get organized. And if they are not successful, because I don't work with most of the students who are already successful. I work with the ones who are not successful.
Right.
And the problem is they're not great managers of their time.
Right.
So if they were successful in this time, it's because they learned how to make a list and check things off. And I'll tell you, a lot of these kids, y'all think that all the students at Sanford's come from super wealthy families. That's really not true.
Right.
A lot of our students had to go out and get jobs and help their families and babysit their younger siblings when they were there. So not only were they negotiating finishing half a semester of college, but they were also helping their families survive. And so I can guarantee you that when our students come back, they're going to say, I learned how to be a grown-up. That's what I think has been a really good outcome of this. We'll see. I can't wait to hear their stories.
Yeah, we've had the same thing on church staff. We've had to completely retool the way we do what we do. And to our surprise and delight, our church has managed. We found a resilience in our church family that exceeded maybe what we feared would happen. And people love their church, believe in their church. One of the things, though, about college that's so different, though, is it is a time of life when the community is so critical to that experience for kids. And as you think about going forward, I would think still lots of kids they still want that experience of walking across campus, talking to the professor between classes. And maybe it's just that one conversation they have that turns their life, and being with their friends and being within a community of people in the same part of the journey that you are. So as an encourager and somebody who does that, it sounds like students have coped with the work piece of it. What about that other piece as they, and how do you even get your hands around that? Has it been individually with phone calls and all of that?
I think so, Gary, but I'll tell you, we were real deliberate in my office, and I work with other people who advise students who are academic advisors, and that's kind of that's what I help them learn how to do. We were very intentional about making sure that we had this kind of meeting with students instead of phone calls. We were trying to do the, video just so that we could see eyeballs out there. But most of and you would have thought that these students were so used to social media and interacting in this, in this venue that it would be easy for them. I think I saw more sadness on that than I thought I was going to. I thought that they would be keeping up with each other more over video, and I think they were. But I think you're right. There's something about the visceral with the students that just can't be replaced. And I think that's why I keep hearing the statistics. 65% of students right now say they will come back to campus if campus is open. We're going to be open in the fall.
Wow.
They want to come back. Probably their parents don't want them home for another semester for the most part.
Yeah.
They're ready to come back. And I think that they're going to do what it takes to make it work. That's what I think. I heard the president of Notre Dame this morning talking about that. Maybe some of you did too. And he said, you will be shocked at how much these students rise to the occasion and do what they need to do. They get the job done. And I think that's what we'll expect to see.
This is their moment. This will mark the rest of their lives. And they'll be telling their grandchildren someday, listen, honey, one year when I was going to college, we didn't even get to go to class for a whole half of a semester. And so
that's right.
Well, I think, and I think there's got to be lots of encouraging that has to take place among the staff and the faculty too, because this has been hard on them. They've really struggled themselves, I'm sure. But we do know we were made to be together as human beings, to be in clusters. And so this really has been an extraordinary time. And I admire the work that you're doing. And I think, and I just, to ask our people, pray for all the teachers and educators in our midst, because it is a hard go, but you're doing the work of forming young people for the rest of life. And I think you're a blessing in what you do.
Well, thank you, Gary, and thank you for your prayers, and I really do want to thank everybody for your prayers. There are a lot of college students at Vestavia Baptist and a lot of upcoming college students. So I know you know what we feel. So we appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you for taking the time to talk to us. And I appreciate that. And please get Jim, your husband, to watch with you tomorrow night so he can see you become famous in your church. We
will do.
Well, a lot of folks here, but there are other folks that I wanted to get to know you, because you do a wonderful job down there, and it is a ministry for you. And everybody that's ever sent a child to college sends them off holding their breath and hoping that it's going to work, and knowing that there are things out of their control, and to know that there are caring adults around them, not micromanaging, but walking along with them is a great comfort to parents. So thank you for all that you do.
You're very welcome, Gary. And may I just say, I'm happy to talk to anybody anytime who is sending a student off to college or has a student in college. Any questions that you have, I'm very, very happy to be contacted.
Fantastic.
I would love that.
Thanks so much for your time at the end of a long day. We'll see you soon. All right. Bye-bye. All right. I'm here with Susanna Harvey, who grew up in our church and is a Birmingham gal, and now is a Chicago person. And Susanna, tell our church what you've been doing for the last 4 years.
Sure. So I went to school at the Chicago College of Performing Arts at Roosevelt University, where I majored in musical theater with a minor in dance. So that's what I've been up to for the past 4 years. I decided that musical theater was what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So took that and ran with it. So I just received my BFA, which is super exciting. Yeah, I mean, it was it was a big leap to move to Chicago right out of school. I didn't know anybody, but it was easily the best decision I ever made. I've made so many friends, and I've grown as an artist and as a person, which has been great.
You've obviously gotten a lot of theatrical experience while you were there. What are some of the things you got to do?
I performed in multiple plays. My junior year, I was in a play called Stage Door. It was written in the 30s, so it was really fun to get to do that. But most recently, I was in a chorus line, which was easily the best show I've ever been a part of. It was amazing. Got to do all original Broadway choreography, so that was a dream come true for sure.
Oh, that's wonderful. And Chicago has been a good place to live.
Yes, it really has. I find that it's super welcoming. Everybody there is super kind. There's always something to do. Lots of student discounts to go see shows, which has always been super nice. So, yeah, it's been great. It's a great city to live in. For sure.
What do you think is the distortion that people have about Chicago when they don't know anything about it?
the one thing I got, especially when I was first moving up there, is, oh, well, it's so dangerous. Well, there are dangerous parts of the city, but it's such a beautiful place. Like, and the architecture, everything is so beautiful. It's right on the water, which is so nice. And there's beaches too,
Wow.
which is great in the summer. So, yeah, it's just a great city.
So, of course, you come down to your last year, and then this crazy pandemic comes. And what's that been like for the people of Chicago and for you?
Yeah, well, so as a person in the performing arts, it's definitely been a little bit tricky and hard at times because everything has been shut down for everybody's well-being, which is completely understandable. But Chicago locked down pretty early on. I was on my spring break when it all happened. I was actually on my way to New York City. And it got canceled. And I went back to Chicago for a few days, and things were starting to get super dicey there. And they were shutting things down really quick. And my apartment's kind of small, and I was like, I think I need to come home and be with my family during this time for my well-being. So that's what I decided to do. So I've been here for the past about 2 months now, and I finished up my senior year online, which was definitely interesting. Trying to dance in my living room, which was great.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely super unprecedented for the arts right now. And I think as a young person trying to start their career, I'm not going to lie, it has been very scary at times. But I know that, like, the arts will prevail. They always do. And we need the arts. So if you can support your local community theater, anything near you, just so we can, when things do open up, there will be art to come back to.
And it will indeed. And
Yes.
art really is important to us in this time because it is a way that our deeper humanity gets expressed. And so,
Yes, exactly.
well, and your fellow, I know a lot of singers and songwriters and bands and performers and artists of all kinds are struggling to find new ways to do what they do. But so much of what they do has to do also with the audience and people being a part of it with them to enjoy. So, we hopefully find our way. But, the arts made it through the Great Depression and World War II and all kinds of other terrible times, and they will here too. But particularly at the front end of your career, it's kind of hard. Where do you want to go next once things get better?
Ideally, I'm gonna go back to Chicago and hopefully get an agent and just audition and see what happens. I'd like to eventually move to New York. Do the Broadway. So that's the end goal, but we'll see.
What part of Alabama do you still take with you wherever you go?
I think especially the upbringing that I had, and especially all the love that I was shown at Vestavia Hills Baptist Church. I'm gonna get choked up. Really sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. It's wonderful that you feel this way.
Yeah. I think all this, the love and the joy and all the lessons I learned along the way is what I carry with me. I found my love of music at this church. So I always have a special place in my heart for everybody there.
And the feeling is mutual because one thing we've discovered in this time is we really do miss each other, and we really do. It's kind of like, you feel differently about home when you can't go there. And suddenly we're all kind of in this homelessness for a little while, but I've been so amazed at how our church has been fine. Our people have hung in there, and I mean, it's just been difficult for lots of folks, but
Yeah.
people checking on each other, and even though there's a lot of the worst in this, there's also a lot of the best. And I feel the same way. I think that when you've had a church home and when you've had a family that has loved you like yours has and supported you through the years, that you always kind of have that inside wherever you go. And I know my own daughter says that up in New York, that you just kind of always have a little bit of Alabama inside that you carry around with you wherever you go. So we're excited to see, you know what, you're gonna find your way in this. And I just thought it would be really fun to talk to a young person at the verge of her career. And thank you for your honesty tonight. And thank you for, I can just see in your demeanor how you've progressed in your 4 years. You're so grown up now and just an adult and out there. So hang in there, because it does take a while, doesn't it, in this field particularly, because it's so competitive. Yeah.
It does. It is, yeah. But everything happens for a reason. I'm just excited for everything to come back and really just get the ground running.
Well, we are proud of you, and I'm glad your church got to hear from you tonight. And this will be on tomorrow night, and I look forward to sharing it. And I'll edit the parts where the sound went bad for just a second. So,
okay.
But you have a wonderful family, and all of them are just wonderful. Your grandparents, the whole crew, and it's been wonderful to be your pastor all these years. And it's been a great honor and a pleasure, and I'm so proud. And I hope one day I can come up and see you on Broadway.
I hope so too.
Well, love you, and great to talk to you, and congratulations on graduating.
Great to talk to you too.
Okay.
Thank you
Mom
so
and Dad
much.
hello. We'll see you soon.
I will.
All
See
right.
you soon. Thank
Bye now.
you.